May 31st, 1916. The North Sea erupts into the largest naval battle the world has ever seen. 250 warships clash in walls of smoke and thunder as British dreadnoughts trade salvos with German battle cruisers. Shells the size of motorcycles scream across the water. Ships explode. Thousands of sailors are about to die in the freezing gray waves. But let's change one thing. Cutting through the mist at the edge of the British fleet is something no one understands. A sleek, angular warship with no visible smokestacks, no towering masts, just a single gun turret and a deck studded with hatches. It's an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer from 2024, dropped into a battle it was never meant to fight. So what happens when the most advanced destroyer on Earth is unleashed during one of history's most chaotic naval engagements? Can it turn the tide of the Great War? Or is it just one ship against 151? First, let's talk about what we just dropped into 1916. The Arleigh Burke stretches 509 feet long and displaces nearly 10,000 tons. 4 General Electric gas turbines produce 100,000 horsepower, pushing it past 30 knots without a wisp of coal smoke. Its crew of 330 sailors operates systems that would look like witchcraft to anyone in this battle. The ship's brain is the Aegis Combat System, connected to the AN/SPY-6 radar, a phased array that can track hundreds of targets simultaneously across the horizon. In 1916, admirals squint through binoculars and pray the smoke clears. The Burke sees everything. For weapons, it carries 96 vertical launch cells packed with missiles, tomahawks for land attack, standards for air defense, harpoons that can kill a ship from 80 miles away. Its 5-inch gun fires 20 rounds per minute with radar guidance, landing shells accurately at 13 nautical miles. And if anything gets close, a phalanx system spits 4,500 rounds per minute. But Admiral John Jellicoe's Grand Fleet is no joke either. The British have brought 151 warships to this fight. 28 dreadnought battleships form the backbone, floating fortresses with guns that fire shells weighing nearly a ton. Their battle cruisers are faster, trading armor for speed, and they've got nearly 80 destroyers and cruisers screening the fleet. These ships carry 12-inch, 13.5-inch, and 15-inch guns. At Jutland ranges, often just 9,000 to 12,000 yards, a single hit from one of these monsters can gut a ship. 3 British battle cruisers will actually explode today when German shells find their magazines. The men crewing these ships are professionals who've trained their entire lives for this moment. They know how to coordinate fire, lay smoke screens, and execute torpedo runs and formation. What they don't know is how to fight something from the future. 3:30 p.m. The Burke's radar lights up with contacts. Through the afternoon haze, the Aegis system begins painting the picture. Dozens of ships, then 100, then more. A combat information center fills with data as the computer classifies each contact by size, speed, and heading. The crew realizes they're watching the entire Grand Fleet deploying for battle. The British see the Burke too. Lookouts on the cruiser Southampton spot an unfamiliar silhouette. No smoke, strange angles, moving fast. Signal flags go up. Is it German? A new design? Nobody knows. But in the chaos of Jutland, an unknown ship near the battle line is a threat. The first British destroyers peel off to investigate. Here's where it gets interesting. The Burke could theoretically end ships from over the horizon, but that requires targeting data, and in 1916, there's no satellite network, no data links, no airborne sensors feeding coordinates. The destroyer's helicopters could scout, but JP-5 aviation fuel doesn't exist yet, and even if it did, the helos have a limited range. Without its modern battle network, the Burke has to close the distance. And closing the distance means entering the range of British guns. The destroyer captain makes a decision. Fire a warning shot. The 5-inch gun barks once, and a shell lands 200 yards ahead of the lead British destroyer. The explosion sends a column of water skyward. The British ship immediately turns hard, her crew scrambling to battle stations. Signal lamps flash across the fleet. Contact hostile. Engaging. 4:15 p.m., the first exchange. 4 British destroyers rush the Burke at 28 knots, their 4-inch guns already firing. Shells splash around the American ship, some coming uncomfortably close. But the Burke's fire control is from another century. The 5-inch gun engages, 20 rounds per minute, radar guided, each shot correcting based on the last. The lead British destroyer takes 3 hits in 15 seconds. Her bridge disappears in a fireball. The second destroyer catches one in their engine room and goes dead in the water. water. The survivors scatter, laying smoke. But now the British know two things. This ship is deadly, and it can be found. Admiral Jellicoe receives reports of a fast raider destroying his screening elements. He doesn't understand what he's facing, but he knows how to handle threats to the battle line. He orders a concentration. 8 more destroyers, supported by 2 light cruisers, converge on the Burke's last known position. And that's when Jutland's greatest weapon comes into play: smoke. Thick, choking coal smoke pours from dozens of stacks across the battlefield. Deliberate smoke screens mix with the exhaust of 100 ships. Visibility drops to under a mile in patches. The Burke's radar can still see through it, but targeting solutions become harder as contacts merge, split, and fade in the interference. The British destroyer pack appears suddenly at 8,000 yards, bursting through a smoke bank at flank speed. 5 p.m. The torpedo run. This is how the Royal Navy kills ships. Mass torpedo attacks that force the target to maneuver, break formation, expose themselves to gunfire. The destroyers fan out, their crews ready to launch spreads of 21-inch torpedoes. The Burke's captain forces a choice: stay steady and pick them off, risking a torpedo hit, or turn and run, losing fire control. He splits the difference, accelerating to 30 knots while engaging with everything available. The phalanx activates, buzzing like an angry god as it shreds an oncoming destroyer that got too close. The 5-inch gun works mechanically through targets, but there are 8 of them coming from 3 directions, and even radar-guided fire can't be everywhere. 2 torpedoes launched from the destroyer Acasta, then 2 more from Shark. The Burke's sonar picks them up, but these are 1916 torpedoes running at 40 knots in straight lines. The ship heels hard to port, and both spreads pass astern. 4 British destroyers are now burning or sinking, but the other 4 have reported position, course, and speed to the fleet, and something much bigger is coming. 5:45 p.m. The battle cruisers arrive. HMS Tiger leads them in, a 28,000-ton monster with 8 13.5-inch guns. Behind her come Princess Royal and Lion. Their main batteries begin ranging shots at 12,000 yards. The first salvo misses by 500 yards. The second lands closer. The British fire control officers are excellent. They're finding the range. Now the Burke's captain must decide how many of his irreplaceable missiles to spend. He authorizes 2 harpoons. The missiles scream off the deck at Mach 0.85. Skimming the waves below radar height. Not that anyone here has radar. From the British perspective, 2 objects simply appear from nowhere, trailing fire, moving faster than any shell. Tiger's lookouts have 3 seconds to scream a warning. Both missiles strike amidships. The combined explosions tear through Tiger's belt armor like it's cardboard, detonating deep inside the ship. Secondary explosions ripple through her as ammunition cooks off. She rolls and sinks in under 4 minutes. The surviving battlecruisers turn away, firing wildly. One 13.5-inch shell finally connects, striking the Burke's aft deck, damaging a VLS hatch and starting a fire. The ship shudders but keeps moving. In 1916, that hit would have killed most destroyers. The Burke's modern construction absorbs it, but the damage is done. The Aegis system reports degraded capability, and there are still 140 British ships out there. 6:30 p.m. The withdrawal. As dusk falls, the Burke accelerates northwest, using her speed advantage to open the range. She's expended 4 harpoons, 180 rounds of 5-inch ammunition, and her phalanx magazines are half empty. The hull has 3 significant hits. Repair crews fight fires. Behind her, the Royal Navy licks its wounds. Tiger is gone. 6 destroyers are sunk or crippled. A light cruiser limps toward port with her bow nearly blown off. But the Grand Fleet is still there. The blockade will hold. Jellicoe's nightmare, losing the war in an afternoon, hasn't happened. And the Burke faces a harder truth. She can't reload missiles in 1916. She can't refuel with JP-5 that doesn't exist. She's won the battle, but can't win the war alone. One destroyer changed one afternoon. But changing history requires a lot more than firepower. It requires logistics. Or what do you think would happen? And if you're curious what would happen if Russia's Superjet fought at Pearl Harbor, check out the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.